welcome back to Digital Devil Saga for that one line of dialogue that I've been waiting for this whole time. This NPC right here. I remember being in a tribe called Governments. Devouring occurred every day, and we just called it politics. I'm just as tough as you youngsters. Yep, that is my favorite NPC line from this game. So, last time we finally killed Bat once and for all. And then he did something that we won't speak of again. And then we found out some major things from Looper. But before we head into the tunnels to follow him to our next story destination, I'm going to do the first of this game's optional content. Now, this optional boss is level 55. You probably aren't meant to do it now, but it is doable now. It's technically doable right after you first beat Mick. If you come back to coordinate 136 after that, you find a couple of Hee-Hos here. I hope the Hee-Ho will turn up soon. But this guy is the more important one, because one of the Hip-Hop brothers, he's got a new partner, now they're both fire-based. And of course, we have to do this. There we go. Hey ho, how long are you gonna listen to our raps for free, ho? And there we go. But that must have been done. In speedruns, people call this validating the run. So, a new king is on the Hee-Ho throne. And we need a key to open this chest. Because not even they can find the key, but they have comrades that have gone around to look for it. So the gimmick of this side quest, I guess you can say, it's pretty much technically one of the first side quests available in this game. The gimmick is that, I just want to check everyone actually has mantras though first, because we might be finding some random encounters. Everyone except Heat, so let's get one for Heat. Oh, he was actually already working on this before, so I don't even need to pay any more money to get him a new one. As I was saying, this quest is to find a key. There are several keys throughout this dungeon, and it's all through areas you've already explored if you've already been through this place the first time. There are several demons located throughout this dungeon who will each have one key. There is only one correct key, and all the others are red herrings. And I'm gonna be actually torturing myself a little bit, but firstly, I will show the correct key first. Although, has this hunt respawned? It has. Okay, we might as well do it. Okay, so from that we got Heat and Argilla's mastered. Ingest, Power Wave, Mute Blow, and Argilla has Mazan, Force Boost, and that's all. Okay, we already saw how decent Skull Cleave was before, so I'm actually going to go for this one. For a 100k marker. Oh, and here's Ingest. Ingest is the stronger version of Devil Feast. I personally don't even find it really that useful, because really you only use Devil Feast in situations where it's nearly guaranteed to work anyway, against frightened or asleep enemies, so the extra chance on Ingest is only relevant if the enemy is neither of those things, and in that case it's not really reliable to use these at all. And also, it's not even that big of an increase. Devil Feast is a 20% chance on enemies that aren't frightened or asleep, and Ingest is a 30% chance. I'm just gonna test something right now. Power Charge Mute Blow. 525 damage. Power Charge Stun Needle on the same enemy. Results of test. Unless you're very lucky with Stun Needle's number of hits, I think Power Charge Mute Blow does more. Also, I forgot to get Argilla a new mantra. I think I need to get her working on better healing. Because unlike Surf, she doesn't have enough of an overkill magic stat that she can afford to just use regular Dia. So, the path to the correct key is actually up one of these platforms. And I want to say it's either the first or the second. I'm going to try the second first. It was the second, okay. Titania is the correct demon to talk to, and she's actually one of the easiest to find. This is where the self-torture comes in, but I'll get to that later. For now though, to fight Titania, you want to set a sleep skill on somebody. You know what, considering that Cielo's kind of become our ailments guy at this point, I'm going to take Cielo. Here we go, Dream Haze. I'll set that even over his attacking move right now. Also, this Titania's dialogue is incredible. Not this, you'll see. Yeah. Just take a moment to soak this in. So, are you ready? Because it's time for Titania. And here's the thing, Titania is weak to sleep. So I can just do this and then Devil Feast. Or miss. Okay, well I guess you can Devil Feast. So, Titania's normally quite a dangerous enemy. She's actually a fairly late game enemy. But since she's weak to sleep, you can just do that. So now we have the Sugar Key. Now the Sugar Key is the only key you actually need. So I'm going to head back now. But while I'm going back, let me talk about the other keys, because torture. 99% of walkthroughs of this game only show getting the Sugar Key, and for good reason. It's the only one you actually need, and if you have the Sugar Key, even if you have other keys, you will automatically use the Sugar Key first, and just immediately finish the side quest. But there are a bunch of other demons scattered around this place that have other keys for you, and I have, for your viewing pleasure, gone ahead and recorded the locations of all the other keys, just to actually be the one person who shows them all. And when I said that it was torture, that's because 2 of the keys are in the basements, in cells that can only be accessed by falling down specific pits on the first floor. They are the wooden key and the metal key, they're completely useless, and they are arguably the hardest keys to find. So if you can actually get those, well, good on you for achieving bragging rights. You'll be among one of the few people who actually goes that far. I did, and it's not worth it. Take my advice and just go for Titania straight away and save yourself the pain. So the really annoying thing is, because I found the Sugar Key first in my footage of grabbing all the keys, and because you automatically use it first if you have it, I don't actually have the dialogue for using a wrong key here. But yeah, I've suffered enough for your sakes. Binho, that's the first time I've ever heard anyone say that. And of course, giving him the key, he just gets the treasures and ditches you. So in order to actually finish this quest, we need to have a word with the king himself. Where's the king? He's right up the top of the dungeon where Mick used to be. Thankfully, you don't need to do any of the puzzles again, so I'll see you at the top. Okay, we've got to level up for Cielo on the way. And that is why Cielo's ailment weakness is secretly a blessing. And again. Oh, so close on Fierce Spirit. I may as well max that before the fight. And got it. So now Argilla has Diorama and Maypatra. And here we are. This leads to the princess's bedchamber, and we have our save point beforehand. So firstly, who to use for this fight? Well, I want Surf because he's my best magical damage dealer. Heat is iffy because he's weak to ice. You do want somebody, though, to be setting up Void Ice every single turn, because this boss has an extremely dangerous ice attack that you really don't want to let through. But what I want here is, so actually who I bring is going to depend on who has which buffs and debuffs, because I really want Sukunda. Tarunda is not bad either. And Surf's only buffs and debuffs are Tarunda and Taunt. Taunt, by the way, does count as a debuff for the purposes of combo skills that require them. Okay, so only Surf, Heat, and Argilla have Void Ice. I was thinking of bringing Argilla as a secondary damage dealer because, she has the highest magic outside of Surf, and the main method of dealing damage here is Force or Earth spells, because, irony of ironies, King Frost is actually immune to fire. Fire is still potentially useful in the fight though, so don't completely skimp on fire skills, but if you are bringing fire skills, you want single target fire skills. So yeah, Agilao. Yeah, you want either Earth or Force backed by Earth or Force boost. Elec also works. He nulls Fire, Ailment, Death, and Expel, and resists physical, and absorbs ice. So that's why I could go for a power charge setup on Heat, but again, resist physical, that could be a problem. Argilla has more buffs. I probably do need Argilla. Now let's fill up our MP going into this. Yeah, I probably will need Mediarama on Argilla, so let's get her working on that. And now, it's time. An evil presence seeps through this door from the other side. Well, I mean, I established in an earlier series I did that King Frost is canonically chaotic evil. He's of the Tyrant race, which is Dark Chaos. Hee-Ho! This is the King's Castle, ho! The King decides the He Code. Hee-Ho Article 1. The King's possessions are the King's. Your possessions are too, Hee-Ho. Hee-Ho Article 2. Those who disobey are sentenced to Hee-Ho death. Dekunda, a new combo is discovered, and okay, that's it. But we do have Debilitate as a combo for having debuffs on all three party members. That may be useful in some situations, because the main way we're going to be getting through this fight is buffs and debuffs. And okay, though I do need to set up Void Ice, however. I can have Argilla set up buffs once I'm kind of free on Cielo's turns. So I'm going to go, okay, yeah, Surf will start going with Tarunda. Oh, he still has Void Force set, even though it's kind of pointless, but oh well. So Tarunda, but especially Sukunda, though you might want to hold off on these until he starts summoning minions. Because yeah, he does have Megado. Won't be doing a lot of damage to Surf due to his resistance, but yeah. Here's Frost Rush. Frost Rush is a physical almighty attack. And I mainly want to bait it into missing, because if he misses with that, he'll lose a lot of his press turns. Okay then, I do really want, okay, no, I'm gonna keep going for this Void Ice, because I really need to keep Void Ice up. Tarunda is just in case he does hit with Frost Rush, so our first few turns are going to be spent just stacking these up. He doesn't have any way to cancel debuffs, but he can summon minions with Celestial Gift, as you see here, and the minion Jack Frost, I also love this animation, like the two little Jack Frosts merge into a big one. The minion Jack Frosts will use buffs on him occasionally. The weird thing about their AI, though, is they often don't use buffs if you use Void Ice, and that's one of the reasons why I'm actually using Void Ice. It's kind of strange. But yeah, they can buff his attack, they can buff his... I think they can buff his agility as well. But here's the thing, with 2 Jack Frosts on the field, he gets access to extra press turns, but if they miss, they'll also take up those press turns. So if I leave the Jack Frost alive and spam Secunda, hopefully they'll be missing a lot of the time, and he'll be losing a lot of press turns. Yeah, there's Power Wave. Yeah, King Frost does hit decently hard from both the physical and magical ends of the spectrum. Probably gonna have to heal soon, actually. But I do want to keep these... I believe this is max Tarundas on the King, but just 2 stacks on the others, and this should be max Secundas on the King. You guys are hitting a lot more than I'd hope you would. Okay, there we go. He lost 2 press turns, and there we go. I missed completely. So we're going to try and keep this going. This turn, I'm going to go ahead and Void Ice again. Pretty much always going to have to keep this up, but Surf can, well, he can Medea. But after he Medeas, there isn't going to be a whole lot he can do. It's annoying that I don't have Makakaja right now, because I'd like that to do more damage. This guy has a lot of health to eat through. I think I want to keep Secundaring, though, just to make sure that the Jack Frosts have as high a chance of missing as possible. The Jack Frosts are weak to fire, so you can get extra press turns off hitting with fire. That's why you want single-target fire attacks, though, and not multi-target, because then you'll hit the King and lose your turns. But I want to keep them alive just to have their increased chances of missing. But again, I got to keep this Void Ice going. But Surf can now afford to pass this turn so that I can... This should be max stacks of Secundas on the Jack Frosts. And now I can start with the Sukukajas on my own party. Okay, that's potentially problematic, because that means I think that's the shield gone on Cielo. Thankfully, he went for this and not for anything else. Now, I think I said earlier in the playthrough, but I'll say it again. One of the best counters in this game to Almighty attacks, because they can't be blocked by any of the shields, is agility buffs and debuffs. I think I do need to... no, I don't think I'll Medea just yet. I will, Okay, you've already used basically everything you can, so I guess you can... I didn't quite think this through, but yeah. Start on hitting the big guy, but yeah, that is not a whole ton of damage. I do have the Dekaja combo, so I could taunt him and then use Dekaja. I probably will need to do that at some point. But right now, I do want to set up more Sukukajas. Yeah, buffs and debuffs in this game last permanently until they're dispelled or overwritten. But yeah, now that we have our agility really up, this is where the real, this is where things get a lot better. So now, as long as I'm doing this... Yeah, I do want to keep things kind of flowing with my Sukukajas. I think I only need to use Sukukaja one more time. Do wish there was an easy way to keep track of this. It's always lamentable when you see the words limit reached on screen, because it means you wasted a turn by using a buff that you already maxed out on, or debuff. But yeah, now that they're fully debuffed and we're fully buffed, they're not going to really hit us much, and for that reason... We can now kind of start on the damage, but yeah, here is where things could get a little problematic. I'm gonna, let's actually... I don't have the press turns to use Taunt here yet, so I'm gonna actually pass with you, and just for good measure, in case we do get hit, I'm gonna Rakukaja. I won't need a lot of Rakukajas because they're pretty much full-on just, you know, Imperial Stormtroopers right now. So this point, it now kind of comes down to the slow process of gradually taking you down. But, okay, so if... Oh, I need to find a way that I can get Void Ice, and I may just have to risk a taunt here. Although, do I have any Dekaja stones? I might not. I don't... Oh, I do have Dekaja rocks, okay. They're called stones in most games, but... It's like, if he hits me, that could be really bad, so I do kind of want a Dekaja. Oh, wait, it said no effect because it erased 2 levels of your debuffs instead of... Oh, okay, that's interesting. So, yeah, that didn't count as a... That makes sense, because you're full-on in minuses with the attack now. You're in -2 attack. So that kind of erased all of my Tarundas, which is unfortunate, but having 2 stacks of defense deep down might be useful. And yeah, this fight does take a decent while when done this way, but it's at least not nearly as bad as doing the fight, doing the fight even earlier than this. Okay, I suppose I can get started on putting your Tarundas back up, just in case you hit me. Because I probably do need to have, full stacks of Taunt up. And yeah, the reason why I'm using Void Ice is because if I don't, they're going to start buffing, but also... so yeah, you should be currently back down. So I use 1, so you're down to -2, then I use 1 more, so I think you're at -3 now. This will put you at -1. So I guess I can do this to put you back at -2. Oh yes, the Taunt economy. But now this is gonna get a little bit smoother, so now we can actually start doing the damage. At least I think so. But yeah, the other reason I'm using Void Ice, though, is he has this attack called Cocytus. And Cocytus is 5 to 8 medium hits of ice damage across all enemies randomly, but it has a 40% chance of freeze, which is absolutely bonkers. Yeah, that freeze rate is no joke. And that's why I want to beat this guy as early as possible, because let's just say that beating him might let us use Cocytus for ourselves. Now, he has 4,200 HP. It's going to take a while to eat through all of that. In fact, I may even end up speeding this up, because really we've pretty much seen the core of the fight by this point. So, unless something interesting happens, I might either speed up or cut out the rest of this. But yeah, this should just go to show you that buffs and debuffs are extremely helpful against these optional boss fights. They're not as necessary at this point in the regular story, but against optional bosses, you really, really want them. Okay, they got very lucky with their hits that time. But they lost their press turns anyway. Oh, he's down to red now. And there he goes, but we still have to finish off the Jack Frosts. So for that, I guess I can go back to using like fire skills and stuff. I forgot you actually had to beat the Jack Frost. For the main story bosses, usually it just ends when they're down. But okay, I've got Debilitate, Dekunda, and not a lot of fire combos right now. But I guess I can safely use fire items. So eat Firebomb. No, one of them's dead, and there goes the other one. So, it is over. And that's 100,000 marker that he drops, and a lot of experience, because, yeah, he is technically a higher level enemy than we're supposed to see at this point. Gale has, well, oh, right. Well, I mean, MP Thief's not as useful anymore. And Surf, let's just get close to that 99 magic. Obtained Ice Crystal. That's the main reward from this, and I think we'll see that right here. I forget if it has to be a small or a large. Here we go. Transition from the Karma Terminal. King Frost expansion cell has been detected. Ice Crystal has been confiscated, and King Mantra has been added to the mantra grid. Embrace this new mantra, Child of Purgatory. Oh, yes, we will. We'll embrace this mantra so hard, we'll want to marry it. That's a weird thing to say, but trust me, if I could marry one mantra in this game, it would be this one. Because if we zoom out, you don't need access to any other mantras to get King. King is all the way over here. It does have a difficulty of 5 stars, so it will take a while to master, but it is very worth it. 100,000 marker. Megado, Cocytus, and Null Sleep. Null Sleep is also very useful. Well, more than useful, it's necessary for the super boss. But it is actually very badly translated in terms of name. What it actually does is, it makes it so that all attacks automatically miss you while you're asleep, which can be good in a pinch for getting rid of enemy press turns, though there's no way to keep yourself asleep between battles since it wears off in between fights. But for the super boss, they are intentionally set up so that they use a sleep move before their ultimate attack, so you want to fall asleep so that you can dodge that attack. It's literally, well, no, it's one of only 2 ways to survive that. The other is close call. So, if you're fighting the super boss, everybody needs to master this mantra for Null Sleep. If you're not fighting the super boss, you should master this mantra with whoever has the highest magic, which will normally be Argilla, but for me it's Surf, for Cocytus alone. I talked about Cocytus in the fight itself, but once we actually unlock it, you will see how hilariously overpowered Cocytus is, especially backed by Ice Boost and Ice Amp. It is, again, 8 to 9 hits of medium ice damage to all enemies, and a 40% freeze rate. And freeze cancels the enemy's physical immunities and makes physical attacks auto-crit. Cocytus might just be one of the best skills in this game. Against anything not immune to ice, it is absurdly busted. And it got a heavy nerf in the sequel, I believe. I'm actually going to already buy this for Surf just to try, but yeah, maybe I should focus on getting Ice Amp after that, because honestly, I don't even need Bufudyne when I have Cocytus. The only downside of Cocytus is that it's a random area attack, which means that if there are enemies on the field that null ice, you run the risk of hitting them and losing your turns. But that's the only downside it has. Oh, and by mastering Ancient God, we get Outer God, Chakra Walk, and Mana Bonus. I believe Chakra Walk restores your MP while you're walking, which is actually a pretty decent skill to have. I remember I relied on that a lot back in Nocturne for my healing demons. It's not called Chakra Walk back then, though. But what I would actually... Oh, wait, yeah, that's way too much money. I think for now, let's just get you more or not on the Bolt line, just because I wanna save some money for that really good Gale Mantra. And by... Not specifically Gale Mantra, but you get the idea. The one that'll bring closer to Debilitate. So, we're going to warp back to the start of this area, and I guess we'll check in with the Hee-Ho bro to see what he says now that we killed his king. We've succeeded in the Age of Empires Regicide game against the Frost. Nope, they're just gone. Okay, they all bailed. But yeah, obviously I want to save after I'm through all that, and yeah, I wanted this just to be a side content part, so that will be all we cover. But I hope you enjoyed this first of many. The optional boss fights, in my view, are some of the best designed bosses in Digital Devil Saga. And this is a game with well-designed bosses in general. So, there will be more of these, but most of them are only fightable later on after you get the red key. But I will be fighting all of them. So look forward to that, and look forward to next time when we continue with the main story in the Samsara Waterways with one of the best songs in the game.